For the back of our house facing the mountain, we wanted a patio that fit into the natural landscape and contour of the land, so we decided to do our own Flagstone Patio. How hard could it be? We were just going to lay some stone, so we watched some YouTube videos that made it look easy and quick. Okay, somebody exaggerated. The first step was to go ahead and prep the land, so we had to clear everything out, smooth out the area, and make sure it was pretty free from debris.
All right, so we have done the first step, which is to go ahead and get our area cleared out for where we're gonna do the patio. And we use the plate compactor to compact everything down so it's nice and tight. Now we're ready for the second step, which is to put our first layer of crusher run. Then we're gonna pack it down. Then we're going to put a layer of M10 on top of that. One thing that we have to be really careful of though, as we are doing this, is that our grade stays on a downward slope because we want the water going away from the house. So we have one of those line levels, and we also have a laser level, and we'll be using that as we go along to ensure that we are staying on the right grade.
Using the tractor made it a lot easier to bring in the crusher run and spread it around and get it even.
So actually, rather than doing several layers of the crusher run, we decided to go ahead and do just one layer because with the tractor, we're able to get a pretty thick layer on here. So we've put down the one layer, and we have to be careful because if you notice up here by the porch, it's a slab and it's only about 4 inches. So we don't, Coda. So we have to be careful and make sure that the flagstone doesn't go over the top of the slab from the porch, and the flagstone itself is 2 inches. So we're going to do just one coat of the crusher run. We're going to go ahead and level it out, and then we will put the M10 on top of that.
All right, so I'm going to drive in a stake at each end. I'm going to pull the string across. I'm going to try to get it very close to the surface without touching, and then I'm going to hang a line level. We want to make sure that our grade is following an 1/8 of an inch drop basically every foot or thereabouts. So we're gonna do that, and maybe it doesn't have to be perfect, but we definitely want to make sure it's on a downhill slope. I'm not an expert line leveler, but I play one on TV. You may be asking yourself, why is that fool wearing a hood in the summer? Well, that fool just found out he had a squamous cell cancer on his head on top of the basal cell that I already had. So that's why this fool's wearing that hood. All right, so we use the line to make sure we've got a nice slope going down, and we do. And basically, I'm just going to try to take the rake and even it out a little bit more. And then Stacy's going to come by with the compactor and kind of pack it down. Once we get it good and flat, kind of smoothed out, we're going to kind of eyeball it. Then I'm going to take the string and run it again just to make sure that we're still looking good.
I have to say that using the compactor was probably the best part of this particular job and the most therapeutic, and flagstone needs a lot of therapy.
All right, so now we have everything all packed down. The crusher run is all packed down, and it's time to put on the M10, which is like a sand. So we are going to spread that with the wheelbarrow and get it all nice and even and ready for our flagstone. All right, everything is now covered in the M10. First thing in the morning, we will be at the rock place so that we can pick out our flagstone, and they can be delivering it while we go ahead and finish prepping. So, good day, lots accomplished. We'll see you in the morning.
Good morning. We are up bright and early and on our way to the rock store to pick up our flagstone to continue on our patio project. So we got there this morning and we asked them how quickly they could get it, and they said, how about now? It was perfect. So they are on the way with our 7 pallets of flagstone, along with 3 boulders that we want to place at the front of the house.
We are ready to hit the next step, which is to start the puzzle pieces, start laying down the flagstone. I was never great at puzzles when I was little. Hopefully I'll be better today. Kevin's probably better than me. Okay, so one thing that I did was use this broom to just kind of flatten out, just to the naked eye, the M10 that we have down, and that seemed to work really well. So we'll see. We're about to put in our first piece. We want to make sure that it's the same distance on the slab all the way across.
Trying to have it level with this as much as possible, so we're going to use this just kind of as a guide to make sure that it's similar going across. Again, these are flagstones. They're not going to be perfect. You don't want them to be perfect, but you want them to. We want to have a good line starting out that's kind of equivalent all the way across.
Out. And there needs to be some on there and a little bit out on there.
More up in here.
Okay, only 1,700 more to go.
The first row was a bit deceiving for us because it seemed to go pretty quickly, and soon we found out that flagstone doesn't go as quick as you think it's going to. In fact, it takes lots of weeks.
All right, so we are going to use a diamond-tipped saw blade on the grinder to score this enough to cut it, but I'm not sure how well it's going to do because of the layers. So I'm going to try to score it down part way and then just knock it off. We're going to see if it works well or not. If not, I may have to go all the way through it. I've also got a 7 3/4 inch circular saw with a diamond blade as well if I have to. But hopefully I can just score it and chip it off.
Nice.
Don't let that quick cut fool you. It doesn't all go that easy. It's kind of like when you put the stone down and you think you have it level, but you don't. And then you pick it up and you put more sand under it and you move it around. You put it back down, you lift it up and you put it back down. Cutting is much the same way. It's more labor intensive than it looks, and it's very, very dirty.
We've decided we're going to do it in chunks rather than in lines. We did our first line and to get everything straight, but now we're going to do it in chunks. So what we've decided to do is each chunk that we do, then we're going to go ahead and put the sand in as grout just to make sure everything stays nicely. So now we're going to put some grout on here, or sand in the cracks basically.
Sand in the crack. Kind of reminds me when I was a child at the beach. When was that last week?
We found that putting sand in and sweeping as we went along did help secure the rocks and kind of gave us a little bit more confidence in ensuring that those rocks didn't move and things stayed really secure. So it's hard to tell from this video, but flagstone is extremely dirty. So be prepared to, once you start, you don't want to stop for a while because you've got your clothes all dirty and you're kind of in the zone.
Well, one thing that will put a stop to everything very quickly is when you nick your thumb with the grinder saw, which is what just happened to Kevin. So we are going to call this week done. We're going to go take care of his thumb, which thankfully he doesn't think he needs stitches. I think he probably does, but it's going to be up to him.
After the first week, we were pretty lucky because we were able to call in some reinforcements. So we got our kids over there and started teaching them and having them help us lay down the flagstone and put this huge puzzle piece together. For our first job, I will say we probably were a bit more ambitious than we really knew what we were biting off in doing such a large area of flagstone as well. I actually think that our kids felt a little sorry for us, and in reality they kind of were a little worried because we looked so haggard every time we finished the flagstone. So that did help us with getting some extra help because this project did take a lot longer than we anticipated. We thought maybe a couple days, let's try a few weeks.
One mistake that we made when we first started off is we kind of got this outer edge too close out here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it back a little bit. And we've done the rock so that it follows the natural lay of the land from the final grade so that the water washes away. So what we've noticed is we've got kind of the spot where the water will kind of go down. So we're going to put a drain in there. But up here we're going to trim this off. We're going to put this edging in to hold it in. And you can cut it and kind of go around things. But then I've got these 2-foot rebar spikes that I'm going to use to put this in with, because I really want this to not kind of fold over. Now this is still very solid right here, which is why we're doing that. Otherwise I would take these back out. But I think we're going to be in good shape if we can kind of trim. You notice down here we actually realized that we were too close to the edge after the fact and kind of started backing up. One thing I do have to say about the flagstone is it is so labor intensive and you're so tired, it does impede your judgment while you're doing things, so you make bad choices. If you're going to do a large area of this, I would tell you to consider your options. It's beautiful, but it is definitely hard work. We're getting ready to put in one of these drains, these metal drains. I've put in several across the yard. And this one, I only want it coming out one side. So actually, when I purchased it, it came with 2 pieces. One's got a pop out that you can kind of close back up. So if you wanted to use it though, you either have to dig a bigger hole if you have it on the outside, or you can mount it on the inside. But the last couple I had, I saved the other pieces that I had from it. And this is flat, much, much easier. So what I'm going to do is actually put that on that side. So double check when you're going to get these what they have. If you only want one side, this is the best way to go. I also picked up some of this tape that's designed for drains, and I'm actually going to tape it on there. Not because I'm worried about leaking, but when you're putting stuff in and everything, you're getting stuff knocking around, it's easy to knock it out.
Due to the way everything sat, we really needed this drain to get the water away from the flagstone.
Thankfully, we are on the home stretch. This has been one of the most challenging projects that we've actually done, and we've gotten a lot done. We are going to finish tonight, so it might be a little dark before we finish, but nonetheless, we are on the home stretch.
We are officially putting in the last piece of flagstone. I don't even know what time it is. And then tomorrow morning we'll come out and just make sure that all the little areas are filled in and all the sand is filled in. We have been filling sand in as we went along. So we are officially finished putting all the flagstone in. Woohoo! I couldn't be happier.
Now I'm in the hospital. My freaking arms don't work anymore.
Good morning. We could not be happier because we laid that last bit of flagstone last night. So today, to just finish the project, we went ahead last night too and got all the rest of the edging that we had showed you. That edging is really nice and really worth it because it keeps everything in and keeps all your sand in. So today all we need to do is go ahead and put a little bit more sand in spots. You know, we've been doing it all along, which seemed to work really well for us. Not only have we been putting the sand on, but we kind of have a process each day. Put some sand on, water it, and then let it dry, and then sweep, and then start the whole process again. So we will be doing that today to finish up any last minute things and make sure that we have all of our parts filled in the flagstone. Let me just say this has been a very labor intensive thing. I'm just gonna be honest, when it shows real quick like get it done, no, it's been like 3.5 weeks of straight 12-hour days for us because it's just been so much work. So it's beautiful, but just be ready for a lot of work and a lot of manual labor and mental labor and anguish and tears. And we're going to enjoy the heck out of this Flagstone patio. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the rest of it, and starting with checking everything with the sand.
The final step is for us to put this rock around the flagstone on the edging just to make it look a little bit more decorative and cover up the seam that we put in to hold everything in.
Well, we did it. The Flagstone Patio is finally complete. It took way longer than we ever imagined, and let's just say our bodies may never fully recover, but looking at the end result, we can't help but feel proud. It turned out absolutely fantastic. While it's a little too soon to say we're thrilled about the process, we're confident that one day we'll look back on this with no regrets. For now, we're just excited about all the amazing gatherings we'll share on this patio for years to come. Thanks for coming along on this wild ride with us. See you in the next project.